I want to challenge you on the issue of family finance. And the summary of what we are going to be sharing is the need for you to become one in your family finances. The need to become one in your family finances. Now, I don't care what background you are coming from. It is possible that your parents are not one in their family finances, but you must be different. You must make up your mind that you're going to become one in your family finances. The biblical background for this, Ephesians chapter 5 verse 31, for this cause a man shall leave his father and his mother, shall be joined unto his wife, they shall become one flesh. One flesh. Mark chapter 10 verse 8 said, they are no longer two, but they have become one flesh. They are no longer two. So once you are joined in marriage, God said you are no longer two, but you have become one flesh. You know, the implication of that is that whatever belongs to one also belongs to the other. Whatever belongs to one also belongs to the other. Once you are joined in marriage, the work you are doing is the work that God has assigned to you. I'm aware that people have asked, so how do we run our family finance? And couples have taken decision on what exactly do they want to, what method do they want to follow. Principally, there are about 4 or 5 methods. But honestly, only one is the ideal that is in agreement with the totality of the will of God. But there are basically 5 methods that people have adopted. One is the African traditional method, or what we call the husband soul financing. African traditional method or husband soul financing. In that method, all family expenses is on demand. Is the man that carries all. Even where the woman is generating income, she only uses her money to do personal things. She spends her money to do anything she likes. But the responsibility of providing for everything in the home is put on the man. Now, that is not the will of God, even though that is what is practiced in many of the African marriages. It is not in agreement with the gospel that says that husband and wife are no longer two, but they have become one. Of course, in such system, you see husband, when he feels that the wife is not doing anything, he'll be using style to say, lend me money till so time, but he knows he will not pay back. For him, it's a way of tricking the woman to carry her own part in the share of the burden of the home. And such things are also not Christianly. Liars will go to hell. Believers are not supposed to be telling lies. And it is also evil to borrow money and not pay back. So, and yet, God does not even expect that husband and wife will be borrowing money from each other, because it's our money. So, we need to understand that African method of husband soul financing is not the perfect will of God. People may be doing it, we don't need to join them. The second method is the one they call division of labor or shared responsibility approach. Division of labor or shared responsibility approach. In that method, couples just take their decision to say, okay, your money is your money, my money is my money, but let's look at the family responsibilities and let's share it. House rent, electricity bill, water rates, children's school fees, and all that. So they look at that and then they say, okay, husband, you will be carrying this one, wife, you'll be carrying this one, and all that. That is what some couples are doing and they think is working for them. But the truth is that the fact that a method is working does not mean that that method is right. The fact that it is working does not mean that it is the perfect will of God. So God said you are no longer two. So you don't come into these dividing responsibilities and thinking that that is what is going to make you to do the will of God. So even though it works in a lot of marriages, we want to say that it is still not the perfect will of God. So, and for you, you need to make up your mind that you're going to live above that level. Number 3, which is the third one now, is the one they call percentage contribution approach or separate purse but common account approach. Percentage contribution approach or separate purse but common account approach. What the couple that are practicing that, what they do is they imagine that, okay, your money is your money, my money is my money, but we now have a pool account. A pool account. You will bring a certain percentage of your income into that account. I will bring a certain percentage of my income into that account. And then that is the one we now be using to run whatever are the common responsibilities in the home. Individuals are now free to do with whatever is the balance of their salary that is with them. Now, a lot of couple, that is what they practice. They have a pool account. Husband, bring 60% of your salary. As a wife, I bring 40% of my salary or whatever, or 50-50, and then into that pool account. And then that is the family account they use to run their family expenses. Now, it is working for a lot of families, but again, it is still not the perfect will of God. It's not the ideal that God is looking for. So, but sometimes we just say to couples, whatever works for you, go ahead. But we know that you must aim at the ideal. You must aim at the will of God. So, whatever is making the ideal, the will of God, to be practicable in a home is a problem, and it must be addressed. Okay? There's a fourth approach that is called fire brigade approach. Fire brigade approach. In this fire brigade approach to family finance, they don't have pool accounts. They don't share responsibilities. It's not as if all the responsibilities pushed to the man. Wife keeps her money. Husband keeps his money. Nobody knows what each person have. But once there's a responsibility, each person drops whatever is available. Each person drops whatever the person is willing to drop. So that is fire brigade approach. Of course, you know that kind of approach is dangerous because there could be a lot of disappointments. There will be times when there will be responsibilities to carry, and at both ends, there will be no money to handle them. There will be frustration, there will be confusion in that home. So again, fire brigade approach is not right. And of course, you must not even go near that one at all. So the implication of the above statement When I said whatever belongs to one person belongs to the other, it means then that your family income is a combination of the incomes of both husband and wife, whether they are put together in one hand or they are held in different hands. Your family income is a combination of every income that is coming to the hand of the husband and the hand of the wife, whether they are put together in one account or they are held in different accounts. Every money is our money. There is nothing like my money in marriage. The day we get married, the day we are joined together in marriage, the spirit of my must die. The husband submits his money to his wife. The wife submits her money to the husband. So the money that we have becomes our money. That is the foundation on which you must build your marriage. Anything that is short of that is not the perfect will of God. So make up your mind that it is this ideal marriage that God desires that you are going to build. And the Lord will help you. So you need to sit down now and discuss it and agree on it, that this is the standard of marriage that we desire. That the work you are doing is the work God has assigned to you to generate income for us. The work I am doing is the work that God has given to me to generate income for us. So whatever income that is generated is our income, our money. That is what God desires. For you are no longer two, but you become one flesh. So let's just lay some simple principles that will help you to get a good grasp of your financial management in your home. First, make up your mind that money will not become the determinant of your joy in marriage. Control money. Don't let money control you. Money is given to us to be a servant, not a master. That's why the Bible says money answereth all things. Money is a messenger that you send to do something. Don't let money become your God, because money has a way of wanting to become the God of a family. So that it is money that will now be determining their joy, their peace in the home. They keep fighting about money. Money always want to lord it over people. And that's why Jesus talked about you cannot serve two masters. You can't serve God and money. Matthew chapter 6 verse 24. So don't serve money. Let money serve you as you go into marriage. And God will give you wisdom to know how to manage your money in the mighty name of Jesus Christ. As you go into marriage, as much as possible, run away from unnecessary borrowing in marriage. Know that the rich ruleth over the poor, and the borrower is a servant to the lender. Proverbs 22 verse 7. Proverbs 22 verse 7. So, in essence, you decide to live within the limits of your income as much as practicable. You know, we live in a world where people live on credit. Everything about some people's life is credit. as much as possible, live within the limit of your income. Again, if your finances will not be causing trouble, there must be complete openness and trust. And what does that mean? Be naked to each other. Genesis 25, they were both naked, they were not ashamed. Don't hide away any money that is coming to your hand. Be totally and completely naked, totally and completely open. Very, very important. Do not hide money, things away from each other. Again, but if that is going to happen, you must build trust. Trust is very, very critical. Build trust. Let your wife be able to trust you. Let your husband be able to trust you. Please build trust. When you cannot be trusted, the other person will not want to commit himself or herself to you. That's it. So you must resolve in your heart that you are going to build trust. In John chapter 2 verse 24, Jesus didn't trust them, for he knew mankind to the core. No one needed to tell him how changeable human is. If you are living a changeable life, the other person will find it difficult to trust you. Sometimes a lot of people start relationship based on trust. But once you do anything that break that trust, you may make it difficult for the other person to want to ever trust you again. So you must build trust from the beginning of your relationship. Please, that is very, very important. Proverbs 31 verse 11. The heart of her husband trusts in her confidently and relies on and believes in her securely, so that he has no lack of honest gain or need of dishonest spoil. That's Amplified Translation. So let the other person be able to trust you confidently. Then it will not be difficult to open up on every issue. The last one, which is the ideal and which is what God actually desires in marriage, is all things in common approach. All things in common, or what people call common purse approach. All things in common. Now, that method is the method that says your money is my money is your money. That's one. Two, they decide where they want to put the money. Maybe they have a joint account, while they also have their individual accounts into which their salary comes, and then maybe they pull into the joint account, or they leave it in those private accounts. But each person knows what is in every account. Each person knows what is in every account, and they see it as our money, and they plan together what they want to spend the money on. They agree together before money is spent. When any of them have to spend money without the knowledge of the other person, because of the need to handle an emergency, immediately information is passed across to the other person. There is no sense of individual ownership. Even if I am the one bringing the greatest income, the highest income, and what you are bringing is just about half what I am bringing into the home, yet there is no sense of individual ownership. And that is the kind of family that God wants to raise. Every responsibility is also seen as our responsibility. Your father is my father. Your mother is my mother. Your brothers, your sisters are my brothers, my sisters. So, even if we are spending more money on taking care of your own family because there is greater need in that place, I don't feel bad, because there is no sense of individual ownership. Please understand that. Common purse does not work in a lot of marriages because people still carry sense of individual ownership. My money, my mother, my father, and your own daddy, your own mommy. Now, once you still have that sense of individual ownership, then common purse will never work. But if there is no sense of individual ownership, if we have the spirit of collectivism and not individualism, common purse can be very, very wonderful. By the grace of God, we have been running that for 30 years now. In fact, maybe for 33 years, because we actually started doing common purse 3 years before we got married. Very awesome. And honestly speaking, it has worked. It has brought us a lot of progress. Our children have learned from it. And one of them that is already married, herself and her husband, they are practicing the same thing. In managing family finance, it is important to note that for those who decide to practice the ideal, which is the perfect will of God, the common purse, common everything, joint account, having all things in common, they must make provisions for power to undo emergencies. There must be authority given to individuals to have some discretionary decision taking in critical and emergency situation without necessarily waiting for the consent of the other person. That is very critical. That's very important, because there are times when you just have to do something and there's no time lag to inform the other person. But because what we are doing is built on trust, I can go ahead and do it and inform the other person later, since I know that whatever I'm doing is for our mutual benefit. Of course, as you run your home, you must develop what is your family focus. What's our family focus? What do we intend to spend money on? Income comes in. What is our plans? And of course, your topmost priority must be to give to God. I know in giving to God, it means that your tithes, you must continue to pay, so that devourer will not enter your finances as a family. Jesus Christ is a priest after the order of Melchizedek. Melchizedek received tithe from Abraham. So Christ is worthy to receive your tithe. You keep paying. Of course, you give offerings. You give offerings very regularly, and then you give it willingly. Of course, 1 Corinthians chapter 9 verse 11, you give to the ministers of God. Be a family that gives to ministers of God. Number 4, you give to the needy or the poor. Proverbs chapter 19 verse 17. Proverbs 19 verse 17. So you must keep giving to God. So when you give your tithe, you're giving to God. When you give offering, you are giving to God because you're giving to the work of God. When you give to ministers of God, you are giving to God because you are taking care of men who don't have any other source where they are earning salary. And then you give to the needy, you are giving unto the Lord. He that lendeth to the poor, lendeth unto the Lord. Now, he that giveth to the poor, lendeth unto the Lord. Again, our feeding, we make provision for it. Other home appliances and wares, we make provision for it. School fees for our children and related expenses, we make provision for it. Family clothing expenses, we make provision for it. Personal allowances for husband, for wife, okay? So that some personal things we want to quickly do, you can also have money to handle them without necessarily seeking the approval of the other person. We make provision for it. Provisions for dependent relative expenses. Yes, we have our parents, we have our brothers and sisters, uncles and aunties that need our help. We make provisions for them. Helps and gifts to others. We make provision for it. Reinvestment or investment. We make provision for it because you need to keep investing for the rainy day. Savings. We make provision for it. Special project expenses. We are planning we're going to build our own house. We are planning we're going to buy a car. We are planning and all that. So you make provisions for it. Make provisions for house rent, electricity bill, water bill, telephone bill, and also all that. Make provisions. Okay. Vehicle repairs and maintenance, we make provisions for it. Other expenses that may be peculiar to our family, we make provisions for everything that is needed. And that is very important.